Wow, you're not gonna guess what I woke up with in my mind. So I think I dreamt, why are women so bad behaved, let's say. So I've been thinking lately, because I have this outburst of misbehaving, let's say, and a lot of women around me are doing it similar. And I was having a chat with my partner the other day, and he said, like, I think this is the worst generation of women that has ever been. And I was wondering why. Why is it that so many women just make it so men don't want them to be around them? And I think it all comes down to the rights thing that women still demand nowadays. But I think once women have earned the rights for the other women, these women have kind of given the power. They are being corrupted like any other human being, because power does corrupt the system in the end. So I think, on the contrary, I think women have too many rights, too much entitlement, and not because they don't deserve it, which they don't. But the thing is that unless you don't have yourself in check as a person and you're given power, it's chaos. It's exactly like children. You can't give to children too many rights, or because that's if you give too much power to a child, you know what that can happen. But does that mean that we don't love children? No. So I think it's something similar with women. I think because women don't have as many rights as they would like it to, does that mean that the world hates them? No. It's just that we live in a hierarchy, and basically some can have rights and some not. So I think this is one thing that women misunderstand, is that because we don't have rights, that means the world hates us and is discriminating about us, against us. Oh, bear with me, I just woke up. It's discriminating against us. And that's not true. Can you imagine what children would be? Can you imagine what a children in a that comes from a bad family could say? I don't know what's my point. I'm not sure this was a good idea to talk exactly after I wake up. I wake up really slowly. But I saw the other day a TikTok of a woman that makes sense. I'm gonna give you the link once and show her. She makes sense, and basically the other one was stitched to her video that women don't want to be cute or attractive. Women want rights. And that was so, I don't know. I didn't like that. That was so over the top. It's like, madam, where do you think you live? Like, what rights would you possibly want more than what you have now? What is it that you really miss? It's like you have anything and everything you want, and you're still unhappy. Don't you think there's something to do with you and not with the world? I mean, So yeah, maybe I should how do I say it? Re-say this, rephrase it. That it's not that women don't deserve rights or that women should not have power. It's that women don't seem to grow up, or as at a faster rate as men. Women are not forced to grow up because the world takes care of them. And if the world provides for you, why would you grow up? You're not forced by your surroundings and your environment to grow up. So that's why. It's not that they're not capable of. I'm sure there's plenty of women that have grown up and they don't spend their time complaining that they don't have rights. I mean, like you already know, it's really easy to complain like I'm doing right now. It's really easy to just walk and get on with my life and at the same time complain about this nonsense that I myself am guilty of. And oh yes, another thing, a point, I think I dreamt this. They also not sensible because women, what's the word? It's not manipulating. Wow, what's the word? They're with each other, you know? As in, they're copying each other, that's what I meant, yeah, sorry. So, one of our theory is that in the past, and that's why women are so social creatures, so sociable, is that in the past when men used to go hunting, women were left alone with children and with other women. So what could have they done, you know, if they would have gone to look for fruits, for example, women had to know and to communicate with each other what do they have to do and where do they should go for, and they had to explain a lot of details about it. So we suspect that's why a woman talks a lot. It's actually a survival mechanism, as in, like I said, if I would have gone in the forest to pick up berries, then I should have known which type of berries to pick, because some would have been poisonous and so on and so forth. So there was a lot of explanation. Well, granted, that was after the language appeared, but you know, I had to explain where to go and what to do and who to avoid, and I had to be aware of what happened around socially to also advise the male. So I think that's why women talk and men do, because men were busy doing, women spend their time observing socially and even people plotting against the leader and so on and so forth. So I think that's why this is our theory. We haven't proved it with any scientific data. This is just an observation of our behavior and why do we behave like this. Because we always forget that our behavior is rooted down to Homo sapiens, and I think I said that many times in my videos that it's been like 300,000 years ago. I hope I got the number right. So we behave from then. We haven't evolved since then, even though people would be like, no, of course we have. No, we have not. This is how our ancestors used to be 300,000 years ago. Just they weren't aware as much as we are, and they didn't have the knowledge. But other than that, we react the same. So that was a side note. So nowadays, how do we translate the social life of women nowadays? Well, obviously, if you live a lot of women in one place, that's why there's no hierarchy in women. Because imagine having to come back as a male from hunting, and if you had a hierarchy, well, maybe you had one leader, the wife of the leader, but that's it. I don't think there's any other hierarchies in women That's why women want to be all equal and all the same. This is why women insist to be all the same, but they don't realize that women are all the same with each other. They can't be all the same with males. So yeah, like I was saying, like imagine men coming back from hunting and seeing all women killed by each other because there's gonna be hierarchies. There was no hierarchy. The hierarchy was between males, and males, I've seen, I think the mission, the guy I had an interview with a while ago, he had a good video about chicken and roosters, and when chickens start to fight, the rooster makes peace basically. So I think that's what used to happen. If women fight, men are the ones to split the fight. So yeah, back to today. So that's why women kind of influence each other, because they live in the same group and they're programmed to do what the other wasn't doing. It's like a survival mechanism, but also now it's translating into not being decent, and just because everyone else does it, I have to do it as well, because otherwise I risk being kicked out of the group. Not sure if that makes sense, but it's definitely something to it. So I think that's why women are not so pleasant anymore. First of all, they have too many rights. Second, power have corrupted them, and that's gone like a chain reaction. Everyone is copying the other one. I remember I do come from a patriarchal country, so I had no idea what feminism was until recently. But I do remember that the girls around me used to say that we are better than men, and or men, or even when we had breakups as teenagers, we always say like, oh, he doesn't deserve you. And when I think about it, that was right. I think the guys we were hanging around with were like, ugh, no, that's the thing. So I think, but about deserving us, I think people don't deserve you when you do everything you can and you're still treated like shit. But when you yourself, you're a little shit as well, I think you deserve each other. Even though obviously you have more potential, and once you reach that potential, then you can argue that the person does not deserve you. So when women say, it's more again like a coping mechanism, oh, he doesn't deserve you, it's just to, how can I say, to cover this psychological or social or egoistic wound that has happened, that someone has had enough of you and has rejected you. But I've never heard a woman telling me, look, sister, there's something wrong with you. Perhaps you need to fix something because you've had too many relationships and you broke too many times. You broke up too many times. Perhaps there's something wrong with you. But hey, no woman says that. At least not the ones I know. So yeah, so having heard all this from girls around me, I believed it. Why wouldn't I believe it? I don't know. Like, they seem to know something that I didn't know, and they seem to know something that made me feel better. So, and obviously, I couldn't cope with the fact that I was the one in the wrong, and also that I had to change myself. So I went with what was easier, obviously, like we all do. When we are confronted with life, we just go with what's easier, not with what's the most difficult. I mean, come on. There are people that do that, and that's why they have way better results than any of us. Sorry about that. So yeah. So that's why I believe this is why women have gone nuts. It's just because all this mentality started to reach more and more women all over the world, and obviously this is what happens. And yeah, I could keep going and keep going on this topic, and I could, there's a lot to talk about it, but even if we speak too much about it, what is changing? Nothing is changing. Another thing that we do wrong is that both of us we are just moaning about it, how women are and women do and women become and what women did, and good. So I assume we need to address that, to acknowledge it, but ultimately both me and you that have been hurt by women, what are we gonna do now? Okay, I became aware of the fact that I am not sensible, and you became aware that how women are. So what are we gonna do now? How does that change our life? So that's one thing that I don't like, because in the end, how other people are doesn't change our life, as in doesn't like basically the world, it is how it is. It's up to us what we make of it, and just using what happened to us as an excuse why we're not where we should be in life, it's as pathetic as the women we're complaining about. So yeah, I don't know. So I think basically, if there's anything to get out of this, is that, like I said, we talk like women do, and well, we talk more serious stuff, let's say, but in the end, let's all look at ourselves and let's think about where is it that I'm failing myself, what is the, how is it that I am disappointing myself today, and leave aside the nonsense of women. It's up to them. It matters what we do with our life today. Anyway, that's again like a side note, but I think a really important one, because anyway, I could go in another subject now, so I could just make another walkie-talkie next time. Good news, I did have time to record properly, but now the challenge is when I'm gonna have time to edit, which that's the most consuming part. So yeah, so stick with me. It's gonna be something a little bit more of a quality rather than me rambling on my walks. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for your support again, and thanks for watching. And if there's anything you would like me to talk about, yeah, just feel free to let me know. And yeah, until next time, guys, see ya.